Okay, great. So, welcome back again. Now, this is a 12-stage view training that is going to take a number of segments. And most of you have had 12-stage view training, if not once, maybe 5-6 times. So you've seen it in different forms. Most of the times when I give that training, I give it in the 1 through 12, and I give it a different spin each time so you can see an aspect of it. This time I thought we would look at the spins specifically and take them through the 12 stages, chart them straight through the 12 stages, yeah? And see how they show up so we can start to put together a really comprehensive picture of being able to see how I am relating in such and such ways with myself, others, or world, and be able to know where I am in the 12 stages and see where I need to improve, basically, to try to maintain some kind of steady level at a stage as a base. Because if we're jumping around like crazy through the stages, the idea that the stages are not linear doesn't really mean we're jumping around that much. Again, it's like the p orbital. We want to have the electrons show up a little bit around some definable area, even if you can't say exactly where it is at every moment. So we want to sort of show up around a stage 3, even if we dip into 2 or 1 temporarily, or 4 or 5 or 7. But we want to know we're around 3, or you know what I mean? Whatever that one is for us. And we should be able to, again, look at the areas where we're dipping too low and say those areas need to be worked on to attain a stable stage experience. Yeah? So in that way we made a fairly comprehensive list, and we can certainly expand it and refine it and get it more specific as we go. So right now we're not going to go through an explanation of each stage's basic criteria because we've done that before so many times, and we are going to go into how each one shows up. If you're new to this teaching and you're receiving it for the first time, you'll definitely benefit by pausing, hitting pause, going back and listening to the viewed teachings in one of its other forms that we have out there. There's a 45 CD set as well as like a 3-hour thing. So, it's got all different forms as far as length to choose from for how much depth you want to go into. Now, so we can just go into the topics and this will be a lot easier. I thought we might start off with some of the big ones, like our sadhana, our relation to the teaching and the path, our emotion, our intellect, big stuff like that, and then break out into other ones. But certainly you can think of what's really relevant for you, and that would be useful too. And we could look at those plotted through. So here's some of the lists that we had. Emotions, thinking, self-image formation, how that changes stage by stage is important too. Outer world perception, how we perceive the world through the stages. Sadhana, how sadhana should change through the stages. That's obviously a huge one for all the practitioners in the room. Reaction versus response, how we go from reaction in stage 1 to response to natural spontaneity even later. Relation to others, so we have a lot of subcategories. The public in general, family, teachers, coolmates, lover, spouse, mahasiddhas, deities, divine beings, etc. Responsibility and social obligation and contribution. How does that change through the stages, right? Environment and nature. What is environment and nature? What does it mean to us at the various stages, Stage 1, we consume it, and so on. Sexuality, that's a huge one. That could really help us a lot. That's tied into sadhana too, I think. Food and nourishment. How do we see food and nourishment through the stages? Leadership, I had down there. That's interesting as well. Affection and love. Gender identification, which goes with self-image a little bit. Work and career, nadi. Karma in general. How is karma seen? I mean, the names of the stages are reflected there as well. Just in the karma aspect, there's karma names in there. Happiness, contentment, devotion, surrender. Exercise. Physiology, the very physiology of the body. Do you go from being just the way you are now to being a light body? No. There's definitely a subtilizing that occurs over many, many decades, right? It can be rapid, but there's definitely a subtilizing and it can be mapped in stages. Energy, real energy of Shakti, what that's like. Illness, health. What's health like through all the stages? What does health mean in all the stages? How is it cultivated in all the stages? Illness. What does illness mean at different stages? Someone who's stage 9 and gets ill, is it exactly the same experience for someone who's stage 1 or 2 and gets ill? Same implications? I don't think so. Desire. Desire is a big one. How's desire put through the stages? That would be really good too. Time. That's a big one. How's our experience of time through the stages? Does it change? Space, good and bad, discernment between good and bad. Cosmology, soteriology, if you have actually any idea of having redemption or saved in your tradition of being liberated or whatever. Freedom. Okay? Anything grab you there as biggies?
Desire.
Yeah?
Desire.
Desire. Should we do desire first? Why not? Yeah? The doctrine of desire happens to be one of the biggest, most important doctrines in all of Tantra, right? Doctrine of desire. So we're talking about that in New York upcoming soon too. This might help us with that as well.